How's that? Feedbacky. How's that? Better? So, good evening. I am Jason Turgeon. I am, I don't know if activist is the right word, arts organizer might be the word. I can't make my own art, but I have lots of friends who can. So I have a particular talent for email and phone calls and an appetite for bureaucracy. And so I help my art friends deal with all of that bullshit so that they don't have to. And as a result, sometimes I get to do some cool things. If you guys went to Figment last week or heard about Figment, that was one of my projects. I also did a project called Bartlett Yards near my neighborhood in Roxbury, where we took some sort of ugly post-industrial wasteland space and dressed it up a little bit. And based on that stuff, I was asked to come and speak to you guys for a few minutes about what you could do in the coming public spaces in the revitalized Union Square. And since I don't live here, I took a look around and did some research. And I was reading through these documents, and that long PDF on the Somerville website, I read that about 3 times. And one thing I noticed is that that little plaza there, Union Square Plaza, is maybe the only intersection in Greater Boston that isn't named after a fallen soldier or policeman or fireman. It's just called Union Square Plaza, and nobody knows that. So they just call that the heart of Union Square repeatedly throughout that document. So I said, I'm calling this Put Some Art in the Heart of Union Square. And I'm doing that because if you talk to anybody about Somerville, if you get past the old generalizations of Winter Hill in the 70s and 80s, you very quickly get to the artists, right? Somerville is known for what? One thing. It's known for its art. And in that entire plan, I read it multiple times and I started cutting and pasting from it just because I was trying to line it up. The first, you get in the intro, Somerville is known for its artists, and then 76 pages later, you get a bullet point, the last bullet point, that says they'd like some expressive public art and some signage. And then a few pages, and then on page 81 you get a one line, they'd like wayfinding to include art pieces and interpretive signs and geography. And then on page 93, art gets mentioned that the post office has a mural in it and they might want to keep that. And so that, for Somerville being so proud of its artists, they sure aren't doing a very good job of representing it. So my wife and I just drove across the country, and there's development happening similar to this coast to coast. There's just everywhere you go, there's development. Seattle, Vancouver, we went across Canada, Calgary, Nelson, BC has development everywhere you go, and they all look the same. They're these kind of 6-story mid-rise, kind of beigey things with some glass and some stormwater stuff and like a food truck out front, and they're really proud of themselves. I'd say, you know what, we just did that at Assembly Square. We can do better, right? So I'd say let's make Union Square redevelopment reflect the art that you guys are so proud of. Let's do that. And here's a good reflection. This was supposed to be huge and eye-catching, but this is Chicago. This is the biggest reflection in the world. This is what public art can be. This is kind of as good as it gets, not just in America, but anywhere in the world. Let's do something like that, I said to myself, in Somerville, in Union Square, one of these great public spaces they're building. And then I looked at the maps and the things, and there's no public spaces in the 12 acres that are coming here at all. You guys get that little triangle, and that's what you get, and the rest of it's condos and food trucks and glass-fronted buildings. And I said, well, you know, we're artists or friends of artists. We're adaptable. But, you know, this is going to take a little more work. We're not just going to be able to commission some giant Janet Eckelman and, you know, save the day. So I said, you know, let's open up the doors for art. Let's do this. And one of my favorite things to do is play with doors. And at Bartlett Yard, I was lucky enough that we had 40-plus doors, and they let us paint them all. And a lot of the artists we used were from Roxbury. We had artists come from Chile and Argentina. We also had this guy walking there. That's his name. His graffiti name is Inky Stainsworth. He paints octopuses, and it's the Inky. He lives here in Somerville. There are lots and lots of artists of his caliber right here, and lots of doors. Let's start with simple. Let's just go with, see, they're here. Let's start painting doors. Let's open up the doors to art in Somerville and Union Square. Let's not just build more of the same. And then I said, this is all cliches, by the way. So I said, you know, it's not going to happen, though, if we just kind of sit here and talk about it. So you can't just sit there. Let's make everything about it work. So, you know, the simple stuff, the seating. I saw in the last presentations here, there was the wall plug charger thing, a little gimmicky. This is made by an artist in Somerville at Artisans Asylum. One of the things that keeps me up awake is Ebola, and another one is that I don't have one of these in my living room. These are the things that, you know, I want one of these. This guy is incredible. His name is Dill or Dilly Thomas. He's here at Artisans, living and working in Somerville. Let's put him to work in this massive redevelopment and have art street furniture across the city. And then, this is it. Your public space, all the public realm they're talking about, it's all streets and sidewalks. So take the art to the streets. They did this in Miami in a similarly kind of blighted industrial one-story commercial district, but instead of tearing the buildings down all at once, first they painted them, and now that the value is worth more, now they tear them down and build stuff. But if you've been to Wynwood Walls, or if you've heard of it, if you haven't heard of it, you now have. It is one of these things where you're like, this is America? I didn't even know something this cool could happen here, especially in Miami, which is, I lived in Miami. Miami was known for lots of things, but kind of cool, arty stuff wasn't one of them. Thousands of these, block after block after block, and not just in a line, in every direction. Huge murals, artists coming from around the world, building owners paying, bidding against each other to get the best artists. We could do that now. You could just go down, is it Columbia Street back here, the little street with the sheet metal, that could just be murals now. You don't have to wait for them to tear it down. We could have art of this caliber. You have the artists, you have the desire, you have the people. Make Union Square look like this when you're done with it, because your whole public realm in this development is going to be walls and streets. So, you can fight it and say, oh, I wish we had more green space, or you can just roll with it and say, you know what, we can make walls beautiful. We know how to do this. This is not hard. And we had a presentation, we just mentioned fire. Rob did some fire stuff. I work with people who like to make things that go on fire. This is one of them. His name's Blake. He's in that building right over there right now working on some art that's going to go on fire. This is one of his fire creations. It's called the patio heater, and when he stands back and pushes a button, it makes a ball of fire about 15 feet wide. He's in the green cab garage, which is also going to be taken away, so he's going to lose his studio. I say if he has to lose his studio, he might as well get a place where he's allowed to make fire without fighting the bureaucracy. Have some places pre-designed where you're allowed to do this kind of stuff. And again, you have the talent here. You've got some of the best artists in the world right here within steps of us, in this room even. I'm joking around, but let's not make light of this. This is serious. This is what Somerville has redefined itself with, is art. So let's not make light of art. And a lot of the art that you have here is made by people who went to these really cool technical schools that we have around here. There's one, the MI something right over there, yeah. This guy, Jeff Mission, not only an incredibly talented DJ, but an incredibly talented VJ, video. There is a VJ scene in Boston, and maybe you didn't know about it, but what that guy is doing, it's hard to see in this, his hand is out like this. That is a joystick mounted to a piece of PVC pipe attached to a 3D sensing device that you can buy for video games. And that colored light behind him is a geodesic dome, 360 degrees, with about $10,000 worth of projectors pointed at it that he is controlling with that joystick so that the dome is spinning and swirling and it feels like you're flying. And that's set up so that any person can walk off the street and just start playing with it. We had that up on the Rose Kennedy Greenway last week. And we had this picture was taken, he's wearing a hat. It was taken on New Year's Eve when it was really cold out, and we had this on the Common. There are artists of this caliber living in Somerville. He lives right next to Tufts right now, chomping at the bit for stuff to do. This plan says that the light should be historically accurate. I say, that's fine. You know what? This moment in Somerville's history is about art. So make it historically accurate. Make the historical part right now and say we can do better light art with more talent and more fun than anyone in the entire world. And let's do that. So Boston, legendarily, we had this video that went around saying Menino is the mayor of No, and got a laugh out of everyone because they've all run across it. We've all been there. Let's make Union Square be the place, like Rockport, where they say yes to stuff. Let's have this not just be a place where you have to ask for permission to do everything, but be a place where permission is built in and you can do crazy, beautiful public art projects anywhere in this redevelopment zone. Okay. And so this is a piece from Philadelphia. This is a guy who has gone all over the city and he paints wall-sized billboards. They are love letters, and no one's sure who the love letter is for, so they're all for the person reading them. And this is, of course, Forever Begins When You Say Yes, if you can't read it. That, to me, is what it's all about. Let forever start now, start saying yes. And so again, I say put art at the heart of Union Square, and I'm going to finish with this image because I love this. There's one of these at Roxbury Community College. There's one of these on Boston Harbor. The artists are not from Somerville, but they did both used to live here. One of them moved to Boston and one of them moved to San Francisco. Don't let them move away. Keep your artists here. And so that's all I have to say is that in this redevelopment, since you don't have tremendous acres and acres of green space to play with and all of that, work with what you got and make it about the best public art space anywhere in the country or anywhere in the world and make Somerville memorable.